Rupert Mayer was born on January 23rd, 1876, in Stuttgart, Germany. He was one of five children. He told his father he wanted to be a Jesuit from a very young age, and his father responded by saying he should get ordained as a priest before he did that. So he went to study philosophy and theology. As a priest, Rupert Mayer resided in Munich, Germany, where he helped people coming to the city for employment by collecting clothes, food, and searching for housing for them.
So when Germany entered World War One, he volunteered as an army chaplain, and that took him to serve in hospitals in France, Poland, and Romania. He was awarded an Iron Cross in December of 1915 for accompanying soldiers in battle on the front lines. But in 1916, on December 30th, his left leg was shattered and it had to be amputated.
After his army career ended, Meyer traveled all over Munich giving speeches. He gave Sunday masses at the train stations so that travelers could listen to him.
When Hitler gained power, he closed church-related schools, and Meyer challenged us by attending Nazi meetings and confronting the Nazi leaders with Catholic principles that contradicted the Nazi message, which made him a target of the Nazis, and ultimately who ordered him to stop speaking publicly, and in response to this, he kept speaking, but in churches.
He was arrested by the Gestapo 3 separate times, and eventually he ended up in a concentration camp at the age of 63. And while he was in the concentration camp, his health deteriorated, and he was released 6 years later. And a couple months after his release, he died while he was giving a mass where he collapsed with a stroke.
And the mass was talking about All Saints. Rupert Mayer was beatified on the 3rd of May of 1987 in Munich by Pope John Paul II. So the defining event or feature that influenced or guided Rupert Meyer's life, Chris is going to talk about.
Rupert Meyer's defining event was when he realized the faults with the Nazi movement in Germany. Instead of remaining silent like most of the German Catholic community, Meyer continued to speak out against Hitler's wrongdoings despite the threats he faced in doing so. Even though he knew he would lose the respect he gained for being a renowned priest, he also knew that the right thing to do was to continue to spread the Catholic values. As a result, the Nazis feared his influence and they tried to silence him.
Yeah, so basically, Rupert Mayer he talked the truth all the time, and when he was invited to address a Nazi gathering, the question was, can a Catholic be a National Socialist? And as he rose to address the crowd, they warmly applauded him, and he said, I am afraid, gentlemen, that your applause has come too soon. My answer to your question can only be a negative one. No, a Catholic cannot be a Nazi. And the applause turned to boos, but he made his point. And that was basically what he did. He did not believe in Nazism at all, and his defining moment was really when he realized that what Hitler was doing was completely wrong, and he spoke out against it, even though he knew he would be criticized and punished by the community. So, yeah, that's what his defining moment was. So, demonstrating or living the first principle and foundation, God created human beings to praise, reverence, and serve God, and by doing this to save their souls. And so God created all other things on the face of this earth to help fulfill this purpose. So basically what we're doing is getting rid of the things in the world that are not going to help us get to the end that we need, and extending the things that do help us, that are going to help us get to the end. It is necessary to make ourselves indifferent to all created things as much as we are able. So to do that, we do not necessarily want health rather than sickness, riches rather than poverty, honor rather than dishonor, a long rather than a short life, and so in all the rest, so that we ultimately desire and choose only that what is most conducive for us to the end for which God created us. So basically, Rupert Mayer, he really lived that, because throughout his life he personally collected and distributed food and clothing and found jobs and accommodation for the homeless. And so basically, like, if he could even help out one person, like that was good for him. He basically just wanted to help people as much as he could.
He was quoted in saying, "I would rather be deceived into helping 9 people who didn't really require my help than risk turning away a 10th person who was in real desperation." He endured many forms of suffering. Physically, he went through the struggles of having his leg amputated. Emotionally, he suffered the evils the Nazis filled German culture with. Their influence meant that his life was in danger every time he preached about Catholic teachings because it went against the Nazi movement. Ultimately, he suffered the conditions of concentration camps, which severely affected his health. Meyer sought the Magus by enduring the hardships of prison, but still not letting that get in the way of helping the poor and serving Mass.
Okay, so first off, we both very much admire Rupert Mayer, and basically, well, I respect how no matter what happened, he still stayed strong to the Catholic faith. And Germany was a very scary place during that time for Hitler and for anyone who spoke against him. And for him to stay strong to his values was very admirable.
Rupert displayed traits of courageousness by never backing down to the danger he faced from the Nazis. Also, he showed his undeniable determination to fight for good rather than to let the Nazis corrupt German culture.
Yeah, so basically his traits, like he really showed determination, and that he, like, no matter what, even after his leg was amputated, even after he went to prison, he wasn't giving up to try and help people and try and keep the Catholic faith in Germany and not let the Nazis take over the whole entire country, even if it meant just keeping a few people uncorrupted. And to this day, charitable societies founded by Rupert Mayer named after him still serve the poor and those in need in Munich. So basically, he was very inspirational in Munich for a lot of people, and his legacy is huge there still, and still all over the world, recognized by the Jesuit community, and recognized by Pope John Paul, making him a saint, or beatified.
Also, even after he was put in a concentration camp, when he was released, he continued to give masses, and he even died while giving a mass. So
It's very religious.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So thanks, Mr. Knapp.